let your head down. Wait. I need to come harder. Run that back, Villa. I mean, debatably, I can fulfill all your needs. That Gucci and Prada ain't nothing to me. Like a rat, I'm attracted to cheese. Give me a planet, you're like Brother Sheen. She in my orbit, my perfect cuisine. Shot your smile, I'm loving your teeth. Choose my night on the world, cause them little gremlin boys be gnawing the leash. Agree, you only want me, compete. Refreshing, quenching my thirst, capri. Get two lines and one is holding the other on top. Girl, your body is teeth. 10 toes and I'm killing the beat. 10 toes and I'm sweeping her feet. Lie dormant for too long, but being with her, I'm unleashing the beast. Girl, it's all night out. Let your hair right down. I think I might drown. I think I might drown. I think I might drown.
Good afternoon to our friends on the East Coast. Good afternoon to our friends on the West. All right, hey, welcome to Teens Talk Truth, live here on Studio W, The Buzz. And I'm going to welcome to the set Alex and Wendell. Hey, gentlemen.
Hello. How are you doing today, sir?
How's it going?
Doing very good. Very, very good. Hey, welcome back. I understand that you have a special guest on today, brother. And so would you do a proper introduction?
Yes, sir. Glad to do it. Good morning and welcome to Teens Talk Truth radio show. We discuss hot topics affecting teens in our society today. But first, we want to give shout outs to positive teens in the news.
Good afternoon. My name is Wendell Roberts, and today we are honoring young man, 18 years old, Daniel DiDonato. Sorry if I butchered that name, but he's 18 years old and he drafted a map for the new voting rights in the districts in Alabama. That's pretty cool. Especially he did it on a free software, and it was basically like it was very organic. Like he was chosen over the professionals, which is very, very impressive.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Let me tell you how impressive that is. This was a legal case, and I as a lawyer, I love the fact that these people were gerrymandering, and so the law caused them to have to come up with new maps, and they hired this professional company to help them gerrymander. And a young 18-year-old college student submitted a map in accordance with the judge's orders. Only person to do it, and guess what happened? The judge chose the 18-year-old map over the professionals. Love it.
Yep.
I love it.
He made it at 2 a.m. and he made it at 2 a.m. in his dorm room, and he found out at 9:30 a.m. when he was finna go into his political science class. Very ironic.
Right. And the fact that he's, of the minority persuasion makes
definitely.
it even better.
Definitely. It's very impressive. Very impressive.
It is. I love it. So shout out to him.
Okay. And now it's time for what had happened was. And what happened this week was a raccoon broke into a liquor store and got drunk.
He didn't just get drunk. How did they find him?
Well, according to the script here, the mass burglar broke into the closed Virginia liquor store early on Saturday and hit the bottom shelf where the scotch and whiskey were stored. The bandit was something of a nocturnal menace. Bottles were smashed, a ceiling tile collapsed, and alcohol pooled on the floor. The suspect acted like an animal because, in fact, he's a raccoon. And according to the article, this isn't in the script, but they actually found him laid out on the bathroom floor, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably throwing up in the toilet.
Yeah. Even though the raccoons digging the trash, one of the people that got interviewed or like around the spot said that they were like one of the funniest creatures ever. Even though they dig in the trash, I'm like, hey, it is what it is. But
the raccoon got turned.
Yep, he did. Alvin and the Chipmunks with raccoon.
I don't know what I would have done if I'd been the employee to come in and find the raccoon. I mean, because it looked like, according to the pictures, that there had been a break-in because there were broken bottles all over the floor. And then the raccoon was so faded, he it was like he's an alcoholic, just an old drunk that you find on the street.
And the worst part is, according to the article, they released him
into the wild so he can do it.
Yeah,
again.
he's doing this again tonight. Yeah, he's coming back and he's bringing his little friends too.
I can imagine what it would be like if they went back to work and there was a family of raccoons in there. I mean, just lapping up the bourbon and the whiskey. Whole inventory clean out because the animals are getting drunk.
All right. Now, here we introduced our guest. Hello. Our guest is
Dr. Koye Oyorinde.
Dr. Koye Oyorinde. My fault. My bad.
It's all right.
It's my first time introducing you, sir. Hey, I've heard a lot of good things about you. You're a pediatrician, a health policy expert, and author of a book titled Who Should We Let Die? Ooh, we're going to hear about that one. And you're currently living in Akron, Ohio. Interesting.
And he's a friend of mine. I know he's very, very humble. He has such a long resume, which includes working for the World Health Organization as well as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention here in the United States. He's basically an international doctor. He's not just practiced here in the States, but he's also practiced overseas. So thank you so much for doing this, my good friend, Dr. Koye Oyorinde. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Looking spiffy, Doc.
Thanks.
So how are things where you are, my friend?
Oh, things are going very well. Just that we have snow outside, so it's annoying.
I don't blame you. I don't like the snow. I do like it when it's cold outside, but I don't like going outside in the snow. I think the snow is pretty to look at and all of that, but I'm not going outside in it. That's my cue to put on something warm and have a hot cup of tea and watch something good on television or read a book or something.
This is very interesting. So, yes, this is a very, very long resume, but it's a very, very, should I say, like, educational resume. Like, this is like all in like one little, it's hard to explain. Like, it's all in one little group.
Tell you a little bit about how he got started so you can understand it better.
Yeah, how did you start? Like, how did it branch out to what all the jack of trades you have now?
Well, I'll say the main thing is to have some level of curiosity, and I was always a very curious child. I mean, going through high school, I was an all-rounder. I could virtually have studied anything after high school. I was great in literature, I was great in science, I was great in commerce, and so on. So I was really not sure what to do with myself after high school, since I was just an all-rounder. And eventually I settled on medicine, so I went to medical school. But I was also very good in math. So that's also, at the end of medical school, I went into what's called epidemiology. It's the science, essentially the science of knowing whether things truly happened. So there are all kinds of techniques by which you know if A caused B.
Definitely. Well, first thing I heard, good at math. That's I'm already out of there. Huh? I'm already out of there. If I'm being honest.
Right, but it's you don't have to be a mathematician to be an epidemiologist, but you have to have the mindset of someone who is open to diverse possibilities. You're not a closed-minded person, and then you can then make the mathematicians do the math for you. But the basic thing is that your mind must be open to possibilities, and not a narrow-minded person.
So basically, you're saying like what got you going is like being good at math was like a plus because you were able to help yourself in a way that some people, if you didn't, like if you were good in that area, then they can pick it up with the math part.
Exactly. And
talented.
So from medical school to graduate school, did epidemiology, and then for my doctorate, I did health policy. Now you're applying the techniques of epidemiology to look at information from the health sector, and then you're then saying, how do we then make our health systems better? So in the end, the math, the medicine, the epidemiology all work together to give us good health policies. Um, right. If you look at the topical issues now in the U.S., one of the concerns we have is how people who might be extremely brilliant in other things come into the health space thinking they could apply their smarts in something else, computer science, in law, in engineering, and so on. And then
You're being so nice to them because these are not smart people. You're so nice.
and then they come and say we can make health policy for the whole country, sometimes even for the world. So we had the guy who makes electric cars and who flies rockets to the moon or whatever, to space, not the moon, to space, suddenly came and said, we don't want USAID anymore. USAID was the US Agency for International Development. And they provided, for example, AIDS care for people around the world. They provided nutrition for poor kids who would otherwise have died of malnutrition around the world. And they said, no, we don't need to do all those things anymore. And all of a sudden, they closed that down. Well, if you are in my position as a person who has worked in many countries, who has seen kids die of malnutrition, then you say, well, even if you want to stop the program, the health policy common sense will tell you, you don't shut it down in one day. You shut it down over time. You let people know, in 6 months, we're going to close this program. So begin to look for other ways of running your program.
Definitely.
But, the smart guy in electric vehicles came and said, we don't need this. Let's shut it down. So I would like him to have had like an hour of epidemiology class and another hour of health policy class before it comes to examining our health policy.
You and I talked about this earlier in the year. I think it was like back in January when they stopped, when there was a measles outbreak. I think it's when we were on the show and we talked about this. And so I remember getting vaccinated for chickenpox and measles, but there was, this was, like, I'm gonna go ahead and tell my age. I just turned 50 this year. So let's talk about half a century ago. It was still so prevalent that you still had breakout cases. So I still had chickenpox. I still had, if I'm not mistaken, the measles, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Correct.
But now, just this week in the news, we're talking about kids being quarantined, and I think it's North Carolina. So, here in the United States, we haven't had, like what you mentioned before, people who get these types of illnesses all the time because of lack of vaccines. Tell us, what kids and their families can expect because of what you have seen happening when there is a lack of vaccinations, widespread vaccinations for a community, and how that affects the children and their families for life.
Right. So I was born in Nigeria and I spent the early part of my life there. And the fact that I went to medical school in Nigeria and I began practice in Nigeria, worked there for 10 years before I left. And first of all, in my classroom, elementary school, we had kids who had survived polio. So they had sometimes two limbs, two lower limbs that are paralyzed. So they were on crutches, or they had these metal things they put on their feet and their legs called calipers to allow them to walk. And I had uncles who had pockmarks from smallpox on their faces. And so we know for certain that vaccines work. They save lives, and the whole body of knowledge around vaccine safety. How do you make sure they are safe? How do you make sure you're not causing more harm than good? And when I worked in Lagos, Nigeria, in the emergency room in pediatrics, a lot of the kids who were coming there were from vaccine preventable illnesses. But because the parents were poor and they couldn't afford to bring them to the clinic, sometimes it was even free, but just the idea of transporting yourself from home to the clinic, the parents might not have it. Two, a lot of the parents were from distant communities, right? So they had to go on a cano and then enter a city bus and a couple of city buses before they get to us where they got the free service. And people might be reluctant to go. They say, oh, we'll go next week. Maybe when we go to the market, we also take the kid. And then they keep postponing until then the kid falls sick of what was preventable. And we lost many of them. Many of them just died because they were too sick and we couldn't save their lives. And so it then becomes a mystery to me, working in the US, why anybody would want to deny themselves of the benefit of science, benefit of this new technology that's saving lives. Right? 200 years ago, our grandparents and forefathers didn't have these opportunities, and many of them died in infancy from these infections. Now we've been able to reduce infant mortality, principally because we have vaccines, and we shouldn't go back to that era when we don't have vaccines freely available.
So explain to them and their audiences, because they're teens, and they may not understand this. Why is this such a big deal all of a sudden? We were a country that had all these vaccines. Why is it that the tide is turning where people don't want them? What happened?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. One is that if you are very good with a vaccine program, like we used to be in the US, then you don't see many cases of that disease. So the average US trained pediatrician has never seen a case of measles.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because we have vaccines that prevent them. Almost no living doctor today has seen, well, I'll say almost no doctor under 50 years old today has seen a case of smallpox.
And that is telling. That is telling. I don't think they understand the gravity of that. I don't even know I've never seen smallpox. I've seen chickenpox, I've seen measles,
right,
but I have not seen smallpox. I don't know what that looks like in the flesh with my own two eyes.
Right.
I don't think we want to. I don't think you want to.
I never saw it too, but it leaves little pockmarks on their faces forever. And I saw my uncles with that when I was growing up. And I was like, what happened to uncle's face with all these little
wow
things on his face? And they said, oh, that's smallpox. Oh, I see. So
wow. Well, Alex pulled it up on Google, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's what he's talking about. I don't know. Back up a little bit, Alex. Yeah, back up some more. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, that looks bad. That looks really bad.
And that's going to be there for the rest of his life. He's never going to leave. Those scars are there permanently.
Wow.
And also for the viewers that don't know exactly what polio is, definitely not me. For the viewers that don't know what polio is, can you explain like what exactly?
So polio is it's really just it's a viral infection. You get the virus mostly from food and water that we drink, and then the kids get very sick. They have fever. They are really, really, really sick. Not most. Quite a number of kids actually just die from it. It's really that bad. Many survive, but they survive with like paralysis of the limb.
And And it's ironic we're having this interview because I've grown up in a household where like we don't take any vaccines and we've all been perfectly fine, our entire lives, and we just it's more like a you don't
A religious thing.
no, I don't think it's not religious, but it's more like you know you just it's a lot of agendas being pushed that we probably don't know, so it's probably like different types of things and chemicals and things the human body probably weren't even meant to even digest to be put in your body, especially if you don't read the fine print. So it's just like
Okay. So
that's
let
kind
me.
I think that's kinda how I look at it. So like I none of my family, like my intermediate family, on my mom's side really never had like vaccines. And I've never had a vaccine and I've never been that sick. Like I've never been really sick at all. I
So
only
you
get
didn't get the
allergies.
measles, mumps, rubella. So how
Nope.
are you in school? Because they usually would make you show your vaccination card.
Well,
I probably don't remember.
in many states they allow a waiver. So maybe your parents received a waiver and said we have objections to vaccines, so we want a waiver, and they gave them a waiver. That's why you're able to go to a public school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or I probably don't remember. I probably did, but like I've never gotten a vaccine from as far as I can remember. So
Like a
that should
flu
say something.
vaccine or something like that.
Nah.
Okay. No.
Well,
We're talking.
let me explain. So 200 years ago, nobody got vaccinated anyway,
Mhm.
and not everybody died of all these infections, right? Some people died
Right.
Hmm.
of
Right.
things. Mortality was high. Most people hardly passed age 40
Mhm.
because they had all kinds of things and they died. They had tuberculosis was everywhere. Even U.S. presidents died of tuberculosis.
Yep. Yep.
People were dying of all kinds of things. Diphtheria was killing people. It was
Mhm.
just everywhere.
Mhm.
But we figured out how to make vaccines,
Mhm.
figured out how to make sure they were safe,
Mhm.
and so this, like I was telling you about epidemiology, the science of knowing if one thing caused the other. That's what we use even till today. I mean, does this vaccine help prevent this disease?
Mhm. Mhm.
So there are all kinds of mathematical calculations by which you can say, oh, when you give the vaccine A to this population, how many people then had measles? When you give vaccine B to this population, how many people had whatever other disease you want to treat?
Hmm.
And based on that, you can say, oh, okay. Now, at the same time, you're going to be watching, when we give them that vaccine A, how many people were sick just
Mm.
because we give them the vaccine? And
Right.
then by the time you come up with all your numbers, you say, okay, what's the balance? Am I able to save more lives than the the few people who are hurt by this vaccine?
Mm.
Because some people have human bodies are not the same.
Mhm.
We have some quirks in our biology and chemistry.
Mhm.
So maybe you don't have enough of this enzyme, or you have too much of that enzyme or protein or something like that in your body. So for some reason, we call them bizarre reactions, adverse
Mhm.
reactions to drugs. Right?
Right. Right.
You can't predict them. They're bizarre. They just come from nowhere. So
Mhm.
that's because some of our bodies are actually different because we have
Right. Right.
little things that are different in us. And that's why if you ask me to swear that this vaccine will not cause you harm, I said, no, I can't do that. I don't know that.
Mhm.
But if you ask me that in this population of 2 million people in Akron, Ohio, that I'm giving this vaccine to, will
Hmm.
it save their lives? I'll say yes. That I can swear on
Right.
because
So
that population. So I know what it does to populations. But if you want
Mm.
me to talk about you as an individual, as a person, then I can't say that because I don't know.
And that's with anything. That's even with over the
hmm
counter stuff. You
Right.
have side effects, and some people, get it, and some people don't. And
Correct.
you just never know. Yeah, like for instance, an allergic reaction. When I go to the doctor and I list that I'm allergic to ibuprofen, the staff is like, "Really?" I'm like, because it's a standard painkiller that everybody takes. I cannot take it because I swell up, and that's dangerous. But most people take it without a problem. Most people take ibuprofen without a problem, but I just can't do it. I've had at least two incidences where I've had to go to the emergency room for swelling due to ibuprofen, and that is a very benign, safe drug that most people take. But I will tell you this: I didn't grow up with polio, so I didn't see that. I mean, like I said, I had chicken pox, and I remember having bumps in between my fingers that were so painful
Right.
because it's very uncomfortable. But when I went to Africa at the end of my first year of college, I met this young man in the Car Senegal that I'll never forget. His name was Sidi, and he he became my instant friend. I still have pictures of him, but one of his legs was bent and twisted out to the side, and he had crutches. And I had never seen the effects of polio. I'd heard of it, but I didn't know what it could do. I had never seen people with stuff like leprosy or that type of thing that was still prevalent, in a lot of those areas. And so I don't think we as a people understand what could potentially happen because we have been so well, blessed by the Lord with an awesome vaccination system. Our medical system isn't perfect, but it certainly has been really good at preventing disease like hepatitis B, which is another thing that I think, I don't know what that looks like. I know it's a disease, I know people get it, but to stop vaccinating babies from it and being told it's a lifelong illness once you have it, it sounds kind of scary and dangerous if I'm the parent. And I don't even fully understand the disease. I just know it's something that has to do with your blood. So, but that's just me. You can tell them more about it.
That article was very controversial. When I read it, definitely a lot of different people is like, no, you shouldn't put that in the baby. Yes, you should. It's just
No, let me explain. So hepatitis B virus, for most people, they get it through sharing needles, blood transfusion, sexual pathways, and things like that. But you can also get it from your parents. So the mother that's carrying the baby, if she's hepatitis B virus positive, can pass it on through the baby, usually at birth when they're just trying to push the baby out, and there's a lot of mixing of the blood across the placenta, and that with all the contractions of the womb, there's a lot of stuff going on there that allows a lot of mixing within mother's blood and the baby's blood, and it's possible for the child to then contract hepatitis B virus. It's lifelong. There's no treatment for it. Some people clear it. When we say clear, it means for some reason the immune system was strong enough. At some point, we couldn't detect it anymore in their blood. But most people, it's there forever. And what it does is it damages the liver, and then people end up with a very bad liver called liver cirrhosis. So that liver is completely useless. And then the cirrhosis also leads them to liver cancer. So imagine the cost of care. When the liver fails, then they have liver transplants. It's a very expensive procedure, very painful life before you even get the transplant. And then for those who don't get the transplant early enough, they get liver cancer. And then they go through all the therapies that I would try, and they still then die of all this so much pain. So why would we not want to just prevent it from with the
Exactly. That's common sense.
cheap $15 vaccine? It was even free, but that's the cost of the government, about $15.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then you look at the
$15 versus a life of unnecessary pain.
exactly.
Ugh.
Now, the reason why we give it at birth which they don't. They say, why are they giving that bath? The kid is not going to have sex anyway. Why are they giving a bath? Well, that's being so ignorant and dumb.
Mm.
They First of all, if the mom doesn't know her status with hepatitis B, so some mothers show up in the labor ward without prenatal care. So they arrive, they've never seen a doctor. We don't know what the status is. That's
Mhm.
one.
And that even happens in the United States. There's some women who claim they didn't know they were pregnant. And there's
Exactly.
some people who are homeless. I mean, I've heard of people who are homeless having children out in homeless camps in the woods. So
that's right.
I mean, you never know what people are going through.
Right. So they show up, we don't know what their status is. That's one.
Mhm.
Two, even the labs we use to test are not 100% effective, right?
Right.
So you might test the mother and she appears negative when she was actually positive.
Mhm.
Interesting. So
Right. So
I-
so that's why we want to give the shot at birth to prevent anyone who, first of all, we don't know the status of the mother, or who maybe the mother's test was wrong, whatever would have happened, at least we know that child is protected. Yes.
That's
definitely
preventative.
just basically like it's necessary for protection because sometimes you really just don't know, and not knowing can be
Fatal.
vital.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely. So I have a question. So as you know, in this world there are people that are egoists or maybe are envious of other people's position, with your long resume and all that you've accomplished. Has there been any person that stood in your way, like as an obstacle or like something you had to overcome?
Well, that comes with the position. That
Right.
comes with, if you've never been challenged adversely, it means you're not doing anything important.
Hey, that's right. I know that's right.
I mean, if you are cutting my lawn very well, somebody's going to challenge you
Right.
and say, "Why are you cutting all those diagonals when you can just make circles?" I mean, that for anything good you're doing, there are going to be people who are going to challenge you. There are people who want to compete with you. There are people who want to stand in your way, and your job is to keep your head down and keep doing what you're doing. As long as you're doing something right, keep doing it.
Mhm.
But
Dr. Oyurinde, I'm gonna let this is something that happened locally here in Arkansas, and it's an article from December 5th. It says Arkansas Pediatricians Organization reacts to revised hepatitis B vaccination guidelines. I'm gonna let Alex read to you the statement that the our advisory committee on immunization proposed Friday here in the state, and I want your reaction to it as a pediatrician, a former World Health Organization and CDC doctor, and what this really means, because I think it's very significant.
Alex been quiet, ain't he?
This
That's
is
the great part.
Arkansas pediatricians spend every day partnering with caregivers to ensure our state's children are healthy and happy. Today's decision to downgrade recommendations to protect all babies from hepatitis B by the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP. Oh crap! Article.
The article.
Okay, my bad. We're back, guys. Endangers the health and well-being of children in the United States, including our patients right here in Arkansas. It also creates confusion and complications for patients, providers, healthcare systems, and payers. The Arkansas chapter of the American Academy of Pediatricians calls upon the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to return to using gold standard science to inform decisions about the recommended spacing and timing of childhood vaccines.
So, Dr. Koye Oyurinde, from my perspective, that sounds pretty profound. People all over the world, my understanding is, would rely on. Oh, did we lose him? We lost Dr. Oyurinde. I think he's coming back. Are you you okay? We were kind of worried about you for a minute. Were you able to catch all that Alex read?
Yes, I heard all of it.
Okay. And from my perspective, people all over the world revered the the American CDC. You have other countries who have Centers for Disease Control, but the CDC in America has been looked upon as a leader. I thought that was my understanding around the world. And so for a state, especially a state like Arkansas, which is usually ranked at the bottom, to have its doctors say, we don't trust you. How significant is that? And as a former employer of the CDC, tell us what this truly means about what is happening at that organization.
Okay, so let me say I was not a staff of CDC. I was a fellow there.
Okay.
So slightly different category, but I was there as a fellow.
Guess what? You done a whole lot more than we have. and that is still quite an accomplishment. So I trust your opinion above many of the doctors that I've been listening to, like say the Surgeon General in Florida these days. I will take your advice over any of these so-called doctors' advice every day of the week.
Yes, so thank you for that. I mean, let me just say this: the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, was like the flagship anti-epidemic agency in the world, and every other CDC was fashioned after the US CDC. And the beauty of the CDC, of the old CDC, was that you have these civil servants who are not fantastically paid, but who are passionate about their work. They bring the best of science into doing their work, and this when people are running away from disease, they are running toward it. It's almost like the firefighters. The house is burning, everybody's running out, the firefighter is running in. Same thing with the CDC. When there's an outbreak of Ebola in West Africa, who goes there first? The US CDC. There's an outbreak of MERS in the Middle East, who goes there first? The US CDC goes up there. And they were trusted because they applied science. It wasn't ideological. They were not trying to convince people of what is not the truth or anything like that. They were not mucking around with data. There's the whole science behind what we do, so you can't mess around with it. Now the new government, we have a secretary of health who has ideological problems with the health industry, and part of it is just ignorance. When you don't know what you don't know, the technical term for that is you're being a fool.
He sounds like he needs a vaccine. I'm like, don't talk. You sound like you are going to kill over and die every time you open your mouth. Really?
And he has no basic understanding of science.
None.
Yeah. So when we say there was a thunderstorm last night and a kid had a convulsion. Well, okay, you have to be able to prove that thunderstorm caused the convulsion in that child.
Right.
And there's a whole system by which you do that. Part of what we do with the vaccines is there's something called the VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. That even after you've given the vaccines to the kids, the government says, if the parent comes back and complains that I think the shot you gave my child gave him blue eyes, as a doctor will say, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
But but the law requires me to take that information and write it down and send it off to the Department of Health in the state I work in.
Like every detail counts, huh?
Every detail counts. And then when it gets to my state Department of Health in Akron, they send it to Ohio. Ohio sends it to the CDC. And then CDC sends it to the World Health Organization.
Right.
So we all have around the world, sometimes they get a report. They gave this vaccine in Cambodia and there was this effect. They're asking us, is anybody else seeing this effect?
Right.
And then we say, well, I didn't see anybody else with blue eyes from vaccine, so no.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's a whole system, and that's the system that now we have a government that's trying to to destroy.
Right.
First of all, as of today, we've withdrawn ourselves from WHO.
Right.
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 So that means we don't know what's happening in Cambodia or Philippines or Nigeria or Senegal. We don't know what outbreaks are there because
Right.
we've refused to sit down with everybody else around the world to figure out all these things.
And I
Right.
don't think we really know about outbreaks here. I don't think we're getting accurate coronavirus data. There's a really bad flu outbreak in Europe, and I'm concerned that we're not going to really know about that. I mean, they have a lot of hospitalizations going on in Europe right now because of flu, and not just coronavirus, but other viruses that you don't aren't that big on your radar. But this year's flu season is a doozy,
Right.
but we're supposed to take a music break. I'm sorry. We're going to stop for a music break and we'll come back and pick this up because this is a juicy topic and I hate to stop. But William says we need a break.
We need a break. All right, we'll be back.
It's when.
Girl, you all that I can see in a lady. Messing with my thoughts and it's messing with my brain. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. CRAS making me crazy. Losing some Z's, thinking why you all I see is paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia.
This is my composition. I've been thinking about her, ain't no competition. If I really had come to the opposition, every day that she gone is a part of missing. Got me thinking that Jimmy can't be without her. Might get on the mic, turn the TV louder. I'm a wolf to the moon, I'm a howl without her. Grind suckers to dust, I'ma make them parasocial. Her socials, it got me causing commotions. I had to hold my emotions because she bad and she knows it. She a 10, I'm a king. We go together, no roast. How I feel, she like a witch. She licks like a potion. I got motion. Let's hop in the car. She like tropical, baby. I'm the right one. I can take you far. If you like trail, let's follow a star. I said it, let's follow a star. Paranoid, I'm seeing her as a total. Falling for tricks and I'm playing my cards, cause she really red like a galaxy open. Take care of her like you welcome. Can't rate me, I'm breaking the meter. If I'm being honest, then I got the juice. Every step that I take is a leader. Used to be different, I made it regular. I was a constant repeater. Everywhere that I turn, I'm thinking it's her. I might have found me a reader.
Girl, you all that I can see in a lady. Messing with my thoughts and it's messing with my brain. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia.
CRAS making me crazy. Losing some Z's, thinking why you all I see is paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia. It's paranoia.
All right, we're back.
My apologies. We were having some technical difficulties. We're back now, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us. Dr. Koye, will you please pick up where you left off before the break?
Yes, I mean, what I was saying is that we learn every day
Every day.
from past experiences. At least that's what a vibrant society should do,
I know that's right.
and that's how we came up with all the protocols and procedures around vaccines. So whether you like it or not, whether you want to be part of it or not, we're all living specimens in natural experiments. So when COVID came, we were all just part of it. There was no escape for us, right? You're part of it. You're part of the specimens in this natural experiment of this weird virus. Nobody knows where it came from. There's almost all this debate about Wuhan, China, and all that stuff. Whether it was from Wuhan or from nowhere, we don't care. You're going to be ill or die from it if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. And so we got all the advice we could get from the epidemiologists who were working on it and said, you might have to wear a mask, might have to separate from people a little bit, so social distancing, all of that stuff. That's what we've learned over time from all the experiences we've had with different epidemics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they had social distancing in the flu of the 1919 flu.
Mm-hmm.
They learned from there that, oh, we could separate people by a few meters from each other, then they're less likely to pass it on.
Right. Right.
So
Definitely.
this time around, we quickly adopted it and said, put a mask on, do some social distancing, wash your hands, you
Mhm.
know,
Sanitary, human decency.
sanitize everything and
All
clean
right.
up everything, and then you'll probably be safe from it.
All right.
You still got sick, right?
Actually, and that's a thing though. Definitely, I like as a person who works literally at a grocery store. A lot of the times, like when I go into the restrooms, I see grown men, like literally just and it's a lot. Like if I would put it in numbers, like 6 to 10 or 7 to 10, they go in there, use the restroom, and they just walk straight out. They don't wash their hands.
Right.
And I mean, hey, not to air it out, but one of them is a coworker. It's just that's why some people get fist bumps. But the truth is, um, it's just I just noticed that it you would think this stuff is common sense, but in the
Right.
real like where especially when I see it, it's like some people really don't use the common sense that that's
They don't
supposed.
have basic hygiene
Yeah,
skills,
Right.
and I know if you work there, there's a sign that says employees must wash hands, right?
yep, there is actually. Actually, no, there's not actually.
Well,
uh,
you need to put that sign up in
Oh,
that.
oh, yeah.
I know, right? There needs to be a sign at every job that says this. But I literally do not touch the door handles. I wash and dry my hands if they have one of those that allow me to use paper instead of that blower. And I
Oh
take
yeah.
the paper towel and open the door with
Mhm.
it and throw it away
Right.
because I don't want to reinfect my hands with somebody else's
Definitely.
crap.
Right.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you know a lot. Um, I saw a video about the electric blowers that blow your hands and dry it for you. I heard that puts more bacteria on your hands than like it does more harm than help.
Not really, but it turns into an aerosol, right?
Mhm.
So the you're trying to wash your hands
Right.
and it's blowing on it, and then all the germs you have in your hands are up in the air.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you can breathe them in. Somebody else that comes in can breathe them in. The aerosols might drop on surfaces.
Mhm.
So if you come in and you're not particularly careful and you're putting your hands on everything in the bathroom,
Right.
you're picking all those germs that dropped off everybody else who came to wash their hands.
Yeah, because I remember like I saw a video and I saw like the science behind it saying like those things do more harm than good. So I
Yeah.
stopped using them and started just getting paper towel. Like she said, using the paper towel to open and close the doors. And thankfully, my job has a little a foot kicker at the end of the door, so you can just use your foot to swing it open. You don't have to use your hands at all. So that
Right,
saves time as well.
right.
We have another article that we want you to respond to, Dr. Oyurende.
Mhm.
This one is even, I think, I think it's even more telling than what we read you in the beginning. Alex is going to read it for you.
West Coast states issue joint vaccine guidelines and shift away from CDC.
I know that's right.
It's by Mason Leith. Sorry if I said that wrong. Okay. Four Western U.S. states have come together to issue unified vaccine recommendations for the upcoming respiratory illness season, and California has enacted a new law to base the state's immunization guidance on independent medical organizations rather than the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The West Coast states, including California, Washington, Oregon, and Hawaii, all led by Democratic governors, banded together earlier this month to create the West Coast Health Alliance, citing that they called an erosion of trust in the CDC. The alliance represents a unified regional response to the Trump administration's destruction of the U.S. CDC's credibility and scientific integrity, stated a press release Wednesday from California government Gavin Newsom.
Now, Dr. Oyurende, that is the second, if I'm not mistaken, group of states, democratic states, to create sort of their own mini coalition.
Right.
I think the same thing happened with New York and some other democratic states on the East Coast. To me, it sounds like a major step backwards. I mean, you would expect this to happen like if we were building up to the point of getting to a national standard, not not this chaotic de-evolution, so to speak, of national medical standards going to regional medical standards. So explain it, from your perspective, what this means and the effect it's going to have on the health for people in their communities and the nation.
Maybe even Alex.
Well,
Or Will and Alex will be fine.
let me put it this way: so the CDC has a very important role to do what we cannot do for ourselves. So we cannot individually go and do clinical trials for vaccines, right? So the government agency, the CDC, the civil servants who we have paid to do the time to study and then to go ahead and monitor these things, do them. Now, what we expect from the CDC is to then say, after all of these studies we've done, here's the guideline based on the data we have, right? It's not based on how somebody feels or the ideological leanings or anything like that. Just based on the science of the disease, science of vaccination, and the logistics of rolling out the vaccines. Here is
Right.
what I think should be done.
Yeah.
Now, when the federal government, under the Secretary of Health, RFK Jr., starts to muck around with what's been established policy for 50 years, then we have to ask ourselves, can we rely on them? And that's why the states on the West Coast, the states on the East Coast have all come together and said, well, the West Coast guys have their own alliance, the East Coast guys have their own alliance, and they are giving their own recommendations to people who work in those states. Now, the part of the problem with the CDC is that their guidelines is what informs the health insurance industry. So to get the shot for hepatitis B at birth, it has to be paid for by somebody.
Right.
And so
Somebody had to pay.
if the guideline says don't give it, then the insurance agency will say, okay, we're not going to pay for it. But the guidelines say don't give it.
Right.
The guidelines now says you may give it if you really want it, and you have to talk with your, you have to discuss with your doctor and decide. Well, we've always talked with our doctors.
Right.
Nobody gets the vaccine just because they want it. It's not candy.
Right.
Always,
Right. If that's the case, we wouldn't be having this discussion. They want to get it.
we've always talked with the doctors about it. So they don't tell us what's new about that. Nothing.
Right.
So because they've made it now so wishy-washy, we're not sure exactly where they stand. You might find this random, who knows what, health insurance might say, we're not giving it. It's not part of the recommendation anymore. And then you'll have to go through a whole process of pre-approval of, they just put all these obstacles in your path.
Definitely.
You get what used to be standard.
Hoop after hoop after hoop. Yeah.
Right.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. And that's the problem there, that, when you don't speak with one voice, then you leave gaps for this, other players to say, yeah, we're not funding it. We're going to pay for that. We're not going to do that.
You said at the beginning that, excuse me, when you you worked overseas, you worked for the World Health Organization. You got to see firsthand what it was like when people were in need of vaccines. And then you talked about USAID and how it's dismantled, and how basically the governments of the world, the medical professionals of the world, were sort of working in tandem. The local physicians send information to the to the CDC. The CDC sends it to the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization disseminates it to the countries
Right.
around the globe. So it seemed like we were better protecting everybody on the planet because we were doing things locally, to have a beat on disease, a beat on, where there's a problem. We got to see that firsthand with the coronavirus, the SARS-2 epidemic,
Right.
pandemic. So how is this contributing to a breakdown in global health, not just the health of those of us here in the United States?
Well, we have to first understand that epidemics, pandemics always start as a local infection somewhere,
Mhm.
and then if you don't get a handle of it, it then becomes an epidemic, and then it becomes a pandemic. And the good thing about life is that these viruses don't have visas, don't have passports. They,
Right.
they will get you anywhere you are. They will fly across your boundaries. No ice can stop them.
Right. I agree. Exactly.
They'll go to the Dark Tower, ain't it?
Right. Exactly.
So the best bet is to fight disease abroad so it doesn't come here. So we apply all our knowledge and science and technology and money to helping other countries be free of disease, so the disease don't come here. The Americans everywhere in the world, they travel everywhere, and people from everywhere come to America as well. So if you don't keep the disease over there,
Then we're all cooked.
He said we're all good. Well, I mean, and I know we only have 3 minutes left now. But I read a lot of articles from not just here in the United States, but some overseas. And I mean, I've read about there being multiple outbreaks, I believe, in the Republic of the Congo area of I think is it Marburg or Ebola? I know they're kind of the same, as well as them having a sort of a monkeypox outbreak as well. Oh, I'm sorry, mpox now, since they don't like that word. But it seemed like they had dual outbreaks going on, and they were asking for help at one point earlier in the year to get it under control. And so if the CDC is normally the one to help, and we're not doing that anymore, and it starts to spread, I don't think they quite understand that you're not just leaving other people hanging out to dry. You're basically putting yourself at risk too. At least this is what it seems like to me.
well, I mean, I think the Ebola outbreak in Congo has been handled now, but we currently have a Marburg virus disease outbreak in Ethiopia. So they're still dealing with that. Just this past week in the UK, they have this mpox
Yep, read about that too.
case where he had two different strains of the
Wow.
mpox virus kind of intersected and created a completely new strain. So we're watching that now and see, is it going to become even more virulent or less virulent? We don't know yet. So we have to have the rest of the world has decided to go on without us.
Right, they have to.
Definitely.
They have to. So, Dr. Oyurinde, how do people follow you? Because we're out.
Yeah, he was finna plug his book.
My book. So this is my book right here.
Who do we let die?
Like the cover.
Yes,
right.
The color is very vibrant, yellow. Like,
yes.
Yeah, and that's available on Amazon.
all right.
This is a book that I recommend for every young person who's interested in illnesses and viruses.
Fever of 1721. Interesting.
Fever of 1721, the epidemic that revolutionized medicine and American politics. It's a very interesting book.
Wow.
And I'm sure you'll find it with your local library. It's by Stephen Koss. It's a fantastic book.
Yes, thank you, sir. Very informative.
Smallpox virus and how we dealt with that. Yeah.
And I think Alex had a short question to ask you earlier when you were talking.
Chill, what, bro? I was finna ask him the questions on the script, bro.
Oh yeah, I guess we went off script. Alex was he was trying.
I was gonna start with question 1, like question 2.
Like, hey, well, we kind of got off script, but hey, we was locked in with what you had to say, sir. So we appreciate you for being here and giving us your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, because every time I call, you don't hesitate. You just say yes, and you are always so generous with your time and your expertise. We truly do appreciate you being here. So if you ever need me, my friend, you let me know. Thank you again, and happy holidays. You have a blessed and happy holiday season, not just to you, but to all of the listeners out there in Radio Land and on social media. I want to tell everybody happy holidays.
Alrighty, happy holidays from Wendell and Alex.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, chat.
Yeah, definitely. The other two just they left us. They gone. Cam said no, and London, he's a working man now. So it's cooked. But hey, we still got it though.
All right. A great conversation. Doctor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Did you get your vaccine? Because
get your flu shot, get your COVID shot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you hear the doctor? The doctor said, get your flu shot and your COVID shot. Don't look at me like that, Alex.
Like, I already got that stuff.
We gotta let Mr. B clear his throat.
All right, guys. Hey, enjoy your Saturday. Like I said, great interview. I'm sure that our audience has benefited greatly for that. Thank you so much, and enjoy your Saturday. And come back in about an hour for the Studio W Sports page.
Have a blessed one, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas.